you. It was the four of us at the Corova Milk Bar. Oh, now, me, Dim, Pete, Georgie, are about to witness. We were feeling a bit melancholy. The awesome, crushing might of Knuckle Up! Ah, you're here. Nice to see you. In actual fact, I don't see you. I think I'd be appalled at what I could see if I could see you. Welcome to Knuckle Up, round number 331. I am your host, EUGENE S. Robinson. And the S stands for self-satisfied. Hello. I was sitting around thinking about how generally okay I feel about the state of the union in regards to MMA, which is MMA for the rest of you. And being that it was a dead week, I decided, foolish man that I am, I should not weep, but should instead count my blessings. Toward that end, the entire show is going to be me counting my blessings, one nut at a time. But first, the words that kick it all off from Stigmata, Calling of the Just. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I took my time, but I could not see too clear. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Being paid back in full, always nothing. All right. Yeah, people say you should do this show as a podcast. One of the commenters, I was like, isn't that what it is? And they were like, well, with like a table. I got a table. What do you think that cat is standing on? You think that cat's just floating in the air? He goes a table and like Joe Rogan, your headset and the fluffy mic with the big thing. The big thing, the big. I go, yeah, no, I got you. It's a good idea. I should have something like that, and a Rolls Royce, and I should be 6'3", and hanging out with George Clooney at Lake Como. I've been to Lake Como, and I needed some help, and Mr. Clooney was nowhere to be found. That's neither here nor there. I decided at round number 331, which is what this is, of Knuckle Up, that I wanted to do a couple of things. And for those of you who kind of have wandered in and thinking, I wonder if EUGENE has changed. I wonder if he'll just get to the MMA and leave all that other shit out. I wonder if, slobber on my mouth. You know what? The Gnostics. I guess I just answered that. So bye-bye to those of you who don't. I had a girlfriend say, why did you just tell me what you mean? I said, I've been doing that for the last 50 minutes, but I don't know what you mean. Whose fault is that? And so it goes. So if those of you want the easy answers, there's some other guy. There's a guy out there who's famous, MMA famous. And he's won the award for MMA Journalist the year before. And he was asking questions of an interviewer that if there's no way I could get away with that in my real life as a real journalist, of which I sort of am, at Aussie.com. And yet this guy's got the nice suits, and he drove there in a nice limousine, I imagine. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about counting blessings. And I see I did lose two of you, so good. Go to another show. Because the Gnostics had this idea that, first of all, knowledge was to be received in a very specific way. And it wasn't, if I could write it down, any idiot could read it. That wasn't the point. The point was to always contextualize. So you may think I'm going down, those of you who are still here understand that it's not just a rat hole that I'm going down, that if you take the various tendrils, these just look like pieces of fabric. And pieces of fabric, and you're doing something interesting with them, and at the end of an hour, you got yourself a fucking sweater. It's not magic. Anyway, I happen to be sitting around, and I say, you know what? They're having this UFC press conference thing, and they're going to have Rafael dos Anjos, and they're going to have Conor McGregor, you know, and I already saw the gift that somebody sent around asking if Conor McGregor is high on coke, you know, and they just took the twitches and edited all the twitches together, which was genius. I don't know if you've seen that. Somebody put it up in the comments. You see, they're fucking with me on purpose. They've been quiet for the last 2 fucking hours. Now they gotta make noise. So, I think I'll wander into the press conference. You know, it was one thing when I was on the corporate tit. Yeah, the UFC was paying, and the Strikeforce and Bellator, these guys pay for me to get there. But now I'm just at my own, at my computer. I got some time. I'm going to tune into the press conference. And in the press conference, I see the most amazing thing ever. If you don't think they have a press conference, it's part of your obligation as an MMA fighter to attend the press conference. I have a Thursday edit meeting at Ozzy. I don't like going. I have to go anyway. You know, if somebody had come to me and said, look, we'll give you this amount of money, and out of the things you have to do, all you have to do is sit in a room for an hour on Thursdays. You would go, hot diggity dog. It's a meeting. Nobody likes it. I decided to wander in. It's a meeting. It's part of the job. The fighters have to do it to drum up the interest. If you did not watch this, I suggest you go watch it, because one of the best things about it were Conor McGregor. Things. Conor McGregor, plural. I know I took a singular subject and made it plural, but the things that the singular subject did made it a plural. Because much like Nick Diaz, another guy who you would, like Mike Tyson, pay it for a seat in Madison Square Garden to watch masturbate, Conor McGregor, when he signs on that line, the fight begins. Even before he became the king, the fight began, much like even with Nick Diaz, the second we agree to fight. Everything you say after that is tilted toward the one purpose. Like you said, talent, stuff your talent, it's about obsession. Or like in Apocalypse Now, they say, you know, I'm sitting in this room getting fat. Charlie is in the bushes eating rat meat. You know, or like Mike Tyson said, some guy challenged him once. He goes, you do understand, in a really incredibly lucid moment, said to the guy, I'm a professional. You know what that means? That means when you're eating lunch, I'm doing this. That means when you're waiting in line to get donuts, I'm doing this. That means when you're walking to the subway, I am doing this. I do this all the time. I am a professional. He agrees to take that fight against Rafael dos Anjos, and Conor McGregor is fully cognizant of the fact that the fight has thusly begun. What does he do? What does he do? He shows up late for the press conference. If you believe that this is accidental, you are completely wrong. The closest I can think of to making this make sense to you, for you, is the kind of shit that you might do if you're on that Biz Marquee tip. You know, damn, it feels good to see people up on it, the vapors. Have you ever had a situation in which you were high-handed by an ex, and then seeing the gyre turn, and suddenly, you know, what is it? It hasn't me, the Rolling Stones song. You know, she had her chance, and now it's Under My Thumb is a song. You ever have that turnaround happen? I actually had an ex ask me for money Oh my God. You know, there was nothing to restore my faith in the power of religion than that. Yeah, yeah. You want money from me, huh? I mean, you know, there's nothing in the Bible that approximates or comes close to capturing the kind and the quality of joy you feel when somebody who did you dirt comes back and they need a favor. Oh my goodness. So I'm sorry. That was a digression. Admittedly, I got it. Digression. So if you think it was an accident that Conor McGregor was late, there is nothing about life that you will not believe. You know, what he does is he lets the bald one truck Rafael dos Anjos out because Rafael dos Anjos wants to make an impression. Rafael dos Anjos is a professional. Rafael dos Anjos is a company guy, and it says 1 o'clock, and you know, by golly gee willikers, 1 o'clock, Rafael dos Anjos is gonna be there sitting. And did you even look at the difference in the lighting? They're all in on this. They're all in on this except for Rafael dos Anjos. So he's sitting there, and if you think it's accidental, you're completely wrong. There's not a single light on my face right now that's accidental. I have to prepare when I send out that tweet that I'm doing the show. I got to get the lamps. If I could show you, I got all the lights. I'm a pro. So there's this kind of gray sheen. I don't know if they used a filter, but the light. Look, if I'm a guy in a band, I instinctively, because you can feel a change in the warmth on your skin. You pick the best light. They got the champion sitting there in this kind of gray space, late. It's called making an entrance. And what happens? You know, people get to see, well, this is what we got with the champion, And then he shows up, and the room bursts. It's like, oh my God, who's the champion? He's like, God, they fucked up my poster. They should fire the person who did the poster. It should be 2 champions. We both have belts. And they said, well, we've never done it like that before. Boom, somebody on Bloody Elbow comes up with an example of it being 2 belts. Boom, you're wrong. There are 2 belts. It should be champion versus champion. And that way, maybe the dude shows up on time. But even if that was the case, he wouldn't have showed up on time. It's stagecraft. Everybody's sitting there, they're waiting. The press conference of 2 guys doesn't begin until both guys were there. We could do this on an If I Did It, but this is a derivation of the what should Rafael dos Anjos have done at that point in time? Rafael dos Anjos should have told his fucking manager, call me. If there are any shenanigans, call me. He's sitting there like a dummy in the gray light. First of all, I would have said, what kind of organization are you running here, Mr. Bald One? My light sucks. And then the phone rings. The phone rings, and he goes, hold on, son. And you're just talking to your manager. You stand up and you get the fuck off that stage. You get off that stage until somebody tells you Conor McGregor's ass is in that seat. And they tell you Conor McGregor's ass is in that seat, and then you wander back in. Still on the phone. and Conor's screaming next to you, because I guarantee at this point he'd be screaming, and you go, hold on a second. Conor, your mother's asking you to quiet down. And then you go, yes, dear. Yes, baby. Come on. You and I both know that would have been genius. That's not what happened. What happened is Rafael dos Anjos is sitting there with the belt, and he's kind of waiting. And then Elvis shows up, you know. And he apologizes to the press corps. The press corps, what did Donald Trump say the other day? He said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. I'm not going to lose a single supporter. Fuck. And you know what? He's right. He was 100% right. That's what's infuriating. What blows my mind is that the political establishment and the media, which is essentially an adjunct, call it the fourth column. What are you holding up? The state? Wrong. They don't understand the appeal of Sanders and a Trump. And in essence, they watch the news. They figured out that they watch the news like everybody else watches the news. And when somebody says something, they listen for a truthful response, which is what I would say. Well, what about these Benghazi emails? And then there's a long answer about, God damn it, that's, if somebody's asking me about emails, go, hey. You guys are making political hay out of this. Why don't you get off my freaking back and let me do my job? Boom, done. No. And I got the Donald Trump hand gestures. And if you believe he's a true believer, you're wrong. We talked about this in past shows. He's a cynical opportunist, not a true believer. Doesn't matter. I've digressed again. Doesn't matter. Into the picture comes Elvis, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor comes back in, and he is nonstop. You see, the thing is, he comes in talking. The show begins with it. As soon as you see him and his mouth is moving and he's waving and his mouth is moving and he sits down, putting Rafael dos Anjos in a position of interrupting. Like I did when I mimed the phone thing. Rafael dos Anjos has to be the one talking. I mean, what's amazing about this, cheerful, is that Conor McGregor has figured this shit out on his own. I've been an entertainer since I was 5 years old. I'm 53. It took me 49 years to figure it. Is that the math right? 49 years. You know what I mean. It took me a long time to figure this out. No, I'm messing with you. I can do the math on that. But Conor just figured it out. And maybe it's built into the Irish spirit, the couple of blackguards thing that I told you about with a guy who, Frank McCourt and Malachi, and am I pronouncing that right? Malachi McCourt, a couple of blackguards, just to gift the gab. Why do you think the Irish have such great writers? Comes from a storytelling tradition, man. You want your kids to be able to write well? Read to them when they're kids. The gym was full of kids today. They were all looking at iPads. I'm sorry. It's the wrong way to go. Anyway, so McGregor comes in and he's already talking. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. He's talking. He's established a rhythm. He has to stop talking for you to talk. And when he stops talking, he's giving you permission to talk. At that point, Dos Anjos already is losing. He is losing. Yes, English is not his first language. Well, I'm not going to make the McGregor claim that, Gaelic is his first language, whatever. I'm just saying. But he's been here. Okay, so then he starts in on him. He says, in Brazilian, you know what they call you where you're in Brazil? In Brazilian lingo, you are called a gringo. You think he just made that up on the spot? Yeah, he didn't make that up on the spot. Besides which, it's not accurate. And Dos Anjos is sitting there. This is why guys fight. Guys had greater facility with language. We'd be women, but we don't. So we get frustrated. Therefore, we fight. And we go look. And what RDA needed to come back with at that point was, in the parading through the streets, he goes, I wonder if they're going to be parading. He says, you've abandoned your people. He said, my country is falling apart. And you're talking about parades? I'm glad you can make light of what's happening in Brazil now. complete and total economic collapse. You had to try to book me a hotel. You had to try. You know why? Because they're going out of business one after another. People being thrown into the streets. I'm in America because I'm helping my country. I'm sending money back to friends and family. But you can sit over there, the man with a flaming Lamborghini, with luxury automobiles. Has anybody done anything so predictably low class as what you're doing? How can you look at yourself in the mirror when there are kids sleeping on garbage piles right now, eating rotten food? I fight for the people of Brazil. And all of a sudden the antics and all the kind of bullshit and the mummery in the face of extreme dire economic privation just comes down, and all of it. Yes, you brought everybody in the room down, but you know, the comedy show is fucking over, man. A little real talk. A lawyer? No. Living on a garbage dump? No. I'm helping my people. And you come in here making jokes. You're going to parade my head on a stick through the streets? Is that going to keep even one kid from, you know, the death squads were killing kids in advance of the Olympics? You think that's funny? I'm not a true believer, my friends. I'm being a cynical opportunist now. You see, I'm losing weight. Yeah, I'm on 2-a-days. Believe it, baby. And then but Dos Anjos is sitting there just stuttering, muttering, not saying. Actually, he wasn't saying anything. That's fine. That can be scarily effective. I fired a guy once. The guy didn't, once I started in on, I got to let you go. He said nothing. Stared at me for about 15 minutes before I said, hey, look, man, you got to shake it on out of here. I got stuff to do. I'm not sympathetic, man. I mean, Carly Fiorini, why I hate her so much is because there's nobody's God-given right to have a job. She's right. I don't want to hear this from some Stanford chick who is richer than God from the moment she was born. Sorry. I'll hear it from another guy who lived in a van, like I used to live in a van. I do not want to hear it from Carly Fiorini. But Rafael Dos Anjos is sitting there. He is sitting there, and he's taking it, and he's allowing the debate to be framed in 4 dimensions. In his mind, in the outside world, in his preparation, and in the media narrative. I think that's 4. The 5th dimension is, the 4th dimension is time. And it's like watching somebody play the violin. He was like complaining at the bald one about the poster. He's using the royal we. We've really got to get this poster thing. You know, you do realize it's my fight. It's my fight. I'm glad that Rafael helped us, and he's right. He's fucking right. I mean, the thing is, have we all become such sensitive flowers that when there's a great line from a P. Diddy song. Didn't see that coming, did you? And he says, shit, what does he go? First comes a hash, and then comes a cash, and then first comes a cash, then comes with big blunts of hash. When I score with a horse, should be game for sure. Nigga pimp so hard he drags his mink on the floor. And I'm listening to that the first time. I go, man, this guy's an asshole. He's an asshole. Come on. And then I start she goes, any chick fucking with me, believe me, that's a privilege. And I was like, you know, fuck. And then I said, whoa. Am I going full American on this? Yeah, it's Popeye. He loves the show. You hear him over there snoring? Big fan. Anyway, I go, in practical terms, he is right. And I'm not going to give him a hard time for being right. You know, a woman having sex with me could say, well, just another guy like you. I mean, I did 10 more where he came from. Broke Negroes, yes, but billionaires, black billionaires, BBCs, Billionaire Boys Club, or something. Acronyms are tricky. That, yeah, he does have a special standing. So Conor McGregor says, he goes, this is my fight. This is my fight. I'm bigger than you. I'm better than you. I'm gonna knock you out in the first minute, the first 60 seconds. Now, everything else he's done, all the stage managing, has done exactly what he wanted. It's like the snake charmer with the thing. And people think, well, snakes can't hear for shit. Or rather, let me put it this way. The snake is not caring about the song the snake charmer is playing. They're watching the snake charmer move. And so the snake starts to move. And now Dos Anjos has ceased being Rafael Dos Anjos. Now Dos Anjos is not Rafael Dos Anjos. Now Rafael Dos Anjos has been cast in a drama established by Conor McGregor for the benefit of Conor McGregor. Now, the reality of it is, Rafael Dos Anjos will benefit like he's never benefited before. But Jose Aldo said it best. He goes, you know, everybody loses, but I couldn't lose to this guy. I just couldn't lose to this guy. I could lose to your mother. I could lose to your father. But I couldn't lose to this guy. And he precisely did. And that's that moment that's like the erectile dysfunction moment where you go, what if I don't get up? I gotta get up. I gotta, boom, you can't get it up. A friend of mine called me from the hotel in San Francisco. You gotta go by. Or he had a big hot date. Cocaine, meth, Viagra. He's in downstairs in the bar drinking. He's texting. She goes to the bathroom, and then she comes back from the bathroom, and she goes, look, look, you know, I'm a single mom. I had to get a babysitter. I don't have time. You spent close to $1,000. Can we just go up to get this meal done with and go up to the room and have sex? And he's like, oh, okay. And so they go up to the room, but now he timed it wrong. The Viagra hadn't kicked in. You know, he got the jitters because the meth is. And of course, he gets to the room and he cannot get it up. And you know what she does? It's great. She says, you know what? I tell you what, we'll do this some other time. She leaves. He gets blotto. She goes down to the hotel room bar, meets a guy, goes back to that guy's room, and guess what she came for? It's like, hey, it's tough being a single mom, you know. No more screwing around like when you were 23, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 dates. This is tied in, believe me. This is tied in. So he is right. He has stage managed Rafael Dos Anjos into being this thing that he needs him to be. A compliant partner in a quiet partner in a machine that will make everybody rich. And I mean that. If he loses, we talked about this already. If he loses to RDA, because well, you know, the guy's too big, he's too strong for me. You know, sometimes I'm wrong. The vulnerability is a positive attribute. He goes back to his weight class, and people think he can be beat. He can be beat. Whatever weight Rafael Dos Anjos beat him, that's the way I could beat him. But I'm looking at, hey, Popeye. But I'm looking at Dos Anjos on stage, and he's like the Cheshire cat in Alice in Wonderland, except he's not smiling. And he's just disappearing behind that shiny belt. And it was a rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, like Secret Squirrel. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, one after the other. Head on the stick, paraded through the streets. Lingo, Brazilian lingo, gringo. It's my fight. What about the posters, the ball? What? And Dana usually is there to kind of, he's the master of ceremonies, helping along. He didn't have to, just stood there, had to. And then they're doing the poses, not the way on the stage thing. They get the photos, and Dos Anjos is standing there with the belt like this. And Conor's like, thank you. Yeah, thank you, pass the belt to me. Thank you for the belt. You see this with the hand. And the press is laughing, and Dos Anjos doesn't know why they're laughing because he doesn't see it. He's not there. He's not paying attention. You got, man, it's guy goes like this. And if you don't think they're thinking about it, you're wrong. There's a guy I used to work for when I was at Ziff Davis. Let's just call him Jonathan. And I see him, his family comes out. I'm at a restaurant, a nice restaurant. I'm sitting there with my date, and he comes over. He's got his wife and his kids. My date is hot, so he has to come over. If I'd been sitting there alone, he wouldn't have come over. But he's going to come over. He, like that Frank Sinatra, Don Rickles, he's going to come over and fucking profile in front of my hot date. Hey, Eugene, how you doing? And he's standing up over me, and he reaches his hand out to shake my hand. And I was like, oh, hey, Jonathan, how are you? And I reach my hand up like this, and he expects me to reach my hand up and to turn. I can't do, and to turn and to fit into his hand and shake his hand. Well, I reach my hand up, as I reach, oh, Jonathan, how are you? And I go like this. Nice to see you. And in the process, of course, I don't have another right hand. So I can't. In the process of going like this, he does his hand judo, and he goes, I go, oh, Jonathan, nice to see you. He goes, oh, yes, it's wonderful, and he and then he tries to go for, so now we're like back 50-50, and then he tries to go for the hand, and I before, as he's turning the hand, I go, yeah, man, so what are you guys eating? That was accidental? It was not accidental. Nothing about it, once you appear with this man, is accidental. The best thing, and you're in a position where even the jungle doesn't want this. Now, there are guys out there who are like everybody with Ronda Rousey, who are waiting for him to fail. And they know, that, I mean, and this is weird. This is a generational difference between Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was a winner, but I don't think there was a steady stream of guys like, fuck that guy. I got to get the guys. I have people who said to me, if Conor McGregor beats Jose Aldo, I will never watch MMA again. And thus far, they have not. Their minds were all wrong about this thing. If I'm Rafael Dos Anjos, I'm sitting and I go, I beat Conor McGregor. Okay. I lose to Conor McGregor. I lose my freaking. Well, actually, hold on. Rafael Dos Anjos cannot lose. He's got to win. However, this is a lose-lose for him in a really weird way. If Conor McGregor loses, he goes into his next fight with Frankie Edgar renewed because he's vulnerable. The odds makers are good. He's got the action. People are like, this could be the one. He is renewed. Win or lose, people say, oh, Eugene, that's not true. If he loses, it doesn't matter. Just listen to me on this one. If he wins, golden. If he loses, gold. Difference, gold and gold. Rafael Dos Anjos, if he wins, people expect him to, you're the heavier guy. This is why Cain Velasquez doesn't fight, Josh Thompson. It's from the same team. It's foreshadowing. I'm going to make a point about it later. But if RDA loses his fight, oh my God. Oh my God. And Conor is talking about going up even another weight class, or another one. And that's his next fight. Frankie Edgar can whistle for that matchup. Frankie Edgar's fourth in the rotation because we're talking 25 mil a fight. And Frankie Edgar is like, I have to go think about my options. Your options is to sit and think about what kind of house you're going to buy with that 25 mil you're going to get. I mean, in other words, part of Conor's appeal is like 80% what happens outside the cage. And if he just kind of, that 20%, just, you know, come on. I mean, the Jose Aldo thing, it wasn't a fight. It was a knockout. It wasn't a fight. I was reffing a fight last night up at the East Bay Rats Motorcycle Club. They had a periodically they have these fights, and they asked me, look, come up and ref the MMA thing. Hey, guess who, though sexy and sophisticated, made no Herb Dean mistakes? The only MMA match with these two women, I said, look, there's no fish hooking. And the girl says, what's fish hooking? I go, have you done this before? And she's like, well, I grapple. Okay. And boom, they go to fight. 18 unanswered blows to the face. Does Eugene stop the fight? I do not. She was intelligently defending herself. It wasn't with the greatest intelligence, but it was intelligent. I said, do you want to go on? And she's like, yeah. And before it was like probably about 8 shots. And then she goes, I'm done. I go, okay. Fight's done. Reached the other woman's hand. Fight was over. You're not guaranteeing the safety of the fighters. Hey, whatever, man. You know, you eat spinach, expect it to taste spinachy. So in any case, you know, everybody wins if Conor wins. Everybody. You might argue with that contention. You might be wrong. Ronda Rousey. I'm getting text last night as I'm in the cage. How do you like that? I'm getting text when I'm in the ring reffing. Hold on. I mean, what? Hey, look. Hey, you ever see Bruce Buffer ring cage side? Guys, look at what he's looking at his notes. No, it was when I wasn't reffing the boxing matches, the MMA and boxing. So I glanced at my phone. People saying, "Oh my God, Ronda's terrible on Saturday Night Live. What are you just saying?" And I was like, you know what? You know what? People have heard me talk about my past friendship with Henry Rollins, and I know they're trying to get me to hate on Henry in a very public way, and all I remember. When I first met Henry, he had just left his job at fucking Haagen-Dazs, okay? Dropped out of college, was working in an ice cream store. This guy has taken the nickels that he has and turned it into a Mercedes-Benz in a mansion. I'm not gonna fucking hate on it. I'm not. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely not. I might have a personal beef with the guy, but I'm not gonna publicly, because what he's done is amazing. Ronda, from sleeping on the coach's floor and being poor as a fucking church mouse, what she's done is amazing. She wasn't doing summer stock theater. She wasn't, she wasn't a high school thespian. And did you notice the engagement ring? I gotta be the first one to bring it up. Did you notice the fucking engagement ring? You do know that this finger is where the engagement ring goes, and it was a big ring on that finger. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Do you imagine she just decided to wear a diamond ring on this finger because it felt good? I'm sure it did feel good. Do you know what this means? I've been victimized by the bad dating choices of women around me my entire life. Mother, sorry, Ma. Charles Robinson was a nice guy, but no relation, actually. There's a guy she dated after she divorced my stepfather, but he had problems. Sorry, Maya. Your Garfield was a piece of shit. I understand it. I'm not enjoying the hating. I'm not enjoying the Ronda hate. I love Ronda. You guys, you hate Ronda. I said it before. I worry about Ronda like I might worry about a kid's sister. This sexy, tough chick thing she's doing. She's standing there. She gets a Saturday Night Live and she's gonna show shit. I'm not buying any of that shit. You know, I am buying somebody who didn't have a house and had to sleep on somebody's fucking floor, or in my case, a van. On Saturday Night Live, you take those fucking nickels, you rub them together, and they'll magically multiply. Fuck it. Gusto. Grab it. Go for it. You know what? She was terrible. I don't give a shit how bad she was. Michael York was terrible. Yeah, he was a host on Saturday Night Live. There have been a lot of, and in fact, the entire premise, the entire Saturday Night Live show is freaking terrible. I sat there like this. You know what I look like when I'm in the dentist office? So I'm not hating on Honda. I'm not hating. She's like, well, you know, I'm kind of busy right now. It's clear. It's clear. It's clear. When you start getting those royal people say, oh, her bit parts, nothing. She's cast as an actor. She was not an extra. She's making bank. Floors, goodbye. But, of course, no prenup. No prenup, huh? Please have a prenup. Please, in the state of California, have a prenup. Guys, people lose things all the time. So, but this is what she's done. What she's done, and I read some really mainstream journal, and they put a finger on it that was really beautiful, and they said, essentially, we didn't know who she is before Betch Kahea. You know what that means? that Honda Rousey was still sort of ours. You know, Betch Kahea, that was like in recent memory. If she loses to Holly Holm, she's done. In actual fact, there is no way out of this. If by some weird, strange, you know, Miesha Tate, you know, pretzels up Holly Holmes and you know, does some ankle locks and loses and wins. Honda comes back, beats Miesha a third time, gets the belt back. Still got to go through Holly. Like Daniel Cormier said, the kid that's always in your bracket, that's Holly, in your bracket. But it doesn't make a difference. Honda is to be celebrated. Foolish people that we are, we should not weep, but should instead count our blessings. One of our blessings, Ronda Rousey. Don't care. Clearly her jaw wasn't broken. She'd still be talking like this to the show. Maybe she did. I didn't watch the whole show. I couldn't take it. But to me, it's immaterial whether she's terrible or not. She's from our neck of the woods. She did well. Fuck it. It wasn't a cage. You know? They didn't push her too hard. People described it as forgettable, her performance. And then they re-engineered her performances in The Expendables as bit parts. Doesn't matter. She was hired as an actor, not an. But these are phenomenal achievements because they elevate the individual, they elevate the brand, and I guess that's it. And they elevate the enterprise, which means they're helping themselves. They're helping the bald one, but they're helping everybody connected under the same umbrella. And I can't say that about the bald one necessarily. But that press conference was masterful. Win or lose, people will still want to see him because of press conferences like that. Ronda's a different thing, but she is to be praised. You know, I'm not going to, hey, oh, she can't act. Really? What was she doing instead of taking acting classes all these years? Oh, judo. I got it. And then I tell you, because I got so much heat from some of you, Mr. Fool, I had to rewatch Dominick Cruz and TJ Dillashaw, and I have to say, never have I seen a case of which someone has been as badly gaslit as TJ was gaslit by his fucking corner. You're doing great out there, Jay. You're doing great. My first take was more charitable than my secondary take. What do you think the judges don't know that you've never been taken down before and they just watch you be taken down 3 or 4 or 5 times with impunity? You don't think that means anything to them? You don't think that you're swinging like you're Babe Ruth and you're missing? The first couple of times it's maybe an accident. The 57th punch you've whiffed, it's no accident. It's Dominick Cruz wizardry. And Dominick Cruz, there's a moment when, again, truth-telling is a powerful, potent thing. And his post-fight speech was, I got chills. Chills, because you see a real face. You take a real good look at that face because it's a real face. You know, we all have to politicize ourselves. There's some kind of socially civilized, acceptable version of ourselves. So we don't, you know, but every now and then the curtain slips back and you see the animal. Sorry, my words weren't always polite. I remember once on my band's second really long tour, my bass player was, who had never really spent very much time away from home. I was jamming a Kano. I was like, we're going to keep driving to the next show. We're going to sleep in the van. And my bass player goes, well, I would just really like to sleep in a bed tonight. And I go, I would really just like to sleep in a bed tonight. Sorry. It's what I thought, though. It went right from here to here. And it was ugly and unpleasant. And the first words out of his mouth were, you're an asshole. And the first words out of my mouth should have been, I'm just telling the truth, crybaby. He doesn't do music anymore. I do. I'm still sleeping in vans. Got it. Because I don't need the beds. I'd like a bed. It's not important to me. Getting the show done. Speaking of which, Wednesday I go to Italy for 10 days. I have shows over there with a band called Bunuel. B-U-N-U-E-L. There's a Facebook page for it. B-U-N-U-E-L. Sign up for it. If you have friends in Italy who want to come to the show, send me an email and I will put them on the list. Standing offer for anybody in the fight game, but they have to answer 3 fight-related questions. So this is fighters, fans of the fight game, anybody who watches this show who has friends in Italy, you have been notified. At any time I do a show, you guys are on the list. You just have to answer 3 questions. So I know you're not gaming the system. So Italy. As usual, for those of you who have just recent to Knuckle Up, I've done this show from the Riverside in Lyon. I've done this show passing out in Copenhagen. I've done this show from as they were dredging the river for a suicide or murder victim in the Seine in Paris. My attendance record at Knuckle Up and Bloody Elbow is indefatigable, and I don't think this will be any different. I may have to switch the show to a Tuesday For the only reason that it may be hard for me to watch it on a Saturday. I'm on Italian time, but it will be done in that week. So don't get wedded in about your Mondays until after February 9th. They tried to fly me through Istanbul. I was like, hey, maybe you haven't been reading the newspapers. Maybe you haven't been reading the newspapers. The things are fucking blowing up in Istanbul. So anyway, Dominick Cruz, in my mind, he won every single round. I'm all in. There were parts where, he was sort of in danger, maybe in the fourth or fifth, if I was being generous. But TJ, I mean, we're seeing brains. Dominick Cruz had got in there and crawled in there, all up in the TJ. TJ not coming back. I'm not saying he's lost battalion, but I'm saying TJ Dillashaw is not coming back. Because once somebody, it's like being John Malkovich. Once somebody finds a 37 and a half floor into your brain, it's hard to get them out. It's hard to get them out. You know, they I don't know if you've seen that movie Night Porter, but it is hard to get things out of your heads once you got them. You can't unsee things. You can't unknow things. This is why, in my mind, the only people who can justifiably claim to have any problem, all the rest of us have difficulties. But the classification of people who have real problems are people who are suffering from fatal diseases that will kill them in short order. These people have that's a quantifiable problem. And people who were sexually abused before the age of 12. Let's just say sexually abused as children. That's a fucking real problem. Because you can't get that shit out of your head. You'll spend the rest of your life getting over stuff. These are people with problems. Everybody else has difficulties. In this instance, the difficulty that TJ has is, how do you close that door? How do you close that door? There's Dominick Cruz. First of all, you're fighting a guy who's lost one time. Secondly, you're a guy who correctly pegged you in a lot of ways and beat him. Like Jose Aldo said, I could lose to anybody. Not that guy. Not that guy. TJ could lose to anybody. Not that guy. Not that way. And, you know, he's like, well, Joe had it in the bag for Dominick Cruz. Man, let's just stop. Just stop. Stop it, please. You know, I still think I would. You know what? You need to get yourself a wood pile and a gray hoodie. And you need to stand by that wood pile in the backyard and start telling everybody about how you're coming back. You're not lost battalion yet, but you got to do something about the head gang. And the advice that he was getting in his corner, you got that round champ. You got the oh, man. Wasn't so. I mean, they were trying to do some kind of fight ideation there. I don't know what they were doing, but they weren't doing it well. So I don't care. In other words, if you hated last week's show where I was chortling about Dominick Cruz winning, you're not going to like this, because I'm not chortling, but I'm doubled down on it in a really aggressive way. Rewatch the fight if you think I'm fucking lying. And I'll tell you somebody else, if I did it, we're talking about Lost Battalion. We're going to try to do it the show before I leave, because we want to talk about the fights coming up this weekend, which I purposely haven't done on this show, even though they're good fights. But Pettis Tell me where the road turns. I don't see him coming back, man. I just don't. And the fact that he thinks he will makes him like he is walked into the Italian induction center. He walked in, he's got brochures. He's like, well, I've always been interested in computers. They go, great, we got computers and travel too. Well, do you like it? Well, you know what? We got programs for. What else is he gonna fight? Who? How? Why? What? Forget about it. But this is a celebration. This is a celebration of all the things that make MMA great. I'm jumping on as many nuts as I can jump on, right? It's a nut jumping show. Friend of Knuckle Up, Ben Rothwell, is fighting this coming weekend. We'll talk about it on later. Care or don't care. Josh Barnett is a known associate. Josh and I I've been threatening Josh. I'm gonna race him with my '65 Chevy. Gonna race him and he's got some modified muscle car. I think it's a pickup truck. Gonna race for pink slips. And I'm a catch wrestler guy. But Ben actually came on the show. There are a lot of cares on this card. Anthony Johnson, Ryan Bader, big care. Ellenberger, Safadine. Oh, Sage Northbutt. Sage Northbutt is fighting. And Alex Casares, who I believe I'm Eskimo brothers with his brother. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Don't start me talking. I'll tell you everything I know. But that's it. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's it. I'd like to talk about the Cain Velasquez thing. I've been looking at Javier's been having pictures of him laying on the floor after practice. He goes, yeah, Cain is always so helpful mopping up and stuff, but here I am after practice. I got to mop around him, and he's there with his dog. And I was like, I recognize that face. Getting up from the mat more slowly. I don't know what to tell you about his injuries. But you know what? Mastery of the sport comes with matching not your body to your regime, but matching your regime to your body. I realized that after a crippling weightlifting injury. Sorry. If you lift weights like you do when you're 19, when you're 30, you're going to get hurt. Wrestling is different, but you got to change something. I don't know what he did to his back, but he's not ready. But that's a lot of not being ready. Stipe had positioned himself for this. Perfect timing. Maybe he's not ready. But the question is, will Verdum and having to swivel from Cain Velasquez, will he not let pride interfere and try to stand up with fucking Stipe? I don't think he believes there's any need for that to happen. If I were him, I would not. So it's an interesting, compelling matchup. Not the one I wanted to see, but Cain is a friend of Knuckle Up. Has been on the show. Interviewed his mother as well in a couple articles. But unless there's that magical clock that runs backwards, I don't know. I want him to get better. I want him so badly to get better. I am actually depressed about this. But this show is not about depression. This show is about the nut-jumping wonder of MMA and things that make us feel good. You know who else makes me feel good with MMA? I tell you exactly who makes me feel good. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And she got the show with people. That was, remember I always used to complain about how they don't have artist development or fighter development? They do, they have it now because somebody had his finger on the buzzer and like, people are really resonating with this chick with the unpronounceable name, Jędrzejczyk. She's just happy, peppy. She's like America's darling. I love her. And not in a creepy way either. I love her. She's great. She's great. Anyway, we're at the end of the hour. How do you know so well, Eugene? Well, I know because I sent the tweet out, and at 9:40 I said that I would do the show at 9:40, and now it's 10:40, but it's been slightly off. So all of yous, I could see you watching. You stuck to it. Thank you. Next time I do this show, I will be in Italy. I'll be jet lagged. My hair may be a little different. But like I said, if you have friends in Italy, we're doing 10 shows. Don't think you're going to get a hold of me by phone, because I turn my phone off only for emergencies because it gets super expensive overseas. But contact me through at EUGENE S Robinson via Twitter. You can direct message me through Twitter. If you put me on blast and shit like that, I'm not going to answer, brother. But if you're already a Facebook friend, you can email me through Facebook. Get your pens ready right now. I'm going to give you something. My email address. Ready? The letter O, the letter X, the underline, the letter B, as in boy, the letter O, the letter W, at hotmail.com. Don't make fun of it. People are like, hotmail.com, what's next? AOL.com. Hey, man, if I'm relying on an email suffix to be cool, I'm dead. So anyway, this is round 331. I'm your host, EUGENE S Robinson. This is Knuckle Up. Thanks for coming. Look what you made me do!